Welcome to Dream Whisper. I'm so glad you've chosen to join tonight. This is your space, your pause, a time when the demands of the day no longer matter. Here, there are no deadlines, no decisions, only the steady rhythm of your breath and the promise of rest. Tonight, we'll take a journey back in time. Our story will lead us to the hanging gardens of Babylon, lush terraces rising in the desert, waterfalls cascading through stone archways, blossoms unfolding in the night air. A place of beauty and wonder, where the weight of the day melts away like water flowing into the earth. But before we begin, let's prepare body and mind for the calm ahead. So, find a position that feels natural, lying down or leaning back. Let the shoulders release, as if they are unhooked from the day. Unclench the jaw, soften the eyes, and rest your hands gently where they can be still. Now, join me in a simple breathing cycle. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold softly for 2. 1, 2. Exhale through the mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Again inhale, hold, and exhale. Longer, slower, smoother. Imagine your breath as a wave that rises, pauses, and retreats. With each exhale, feel the body soften, forehead smooth, eyes heavy, jaw unclenched, shoulders melting deeper into stillness. The chest lifts and falls easily, fingers uncurl. Legs grow heavy, sinking into the surface beneath you. Notice the simple truth. In this moment, you don't have to hold anything. The ground is holding you. Now, allow your breath to settle into its natural rhythm. If thoughts arrive, let them drift past like faint clouds over a vast night sky. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to hold them. They appear, they pass, and the sky remains. Perhaps imagine yourself already stepping into a softer place, maybe a shaded terrace, cool stone beneath your hand, lanterns flickering faintly in the warm air. Or maybe the hush of water trickling over stone, carrying with it the scent of jasmine and cedar. Whatever image feels safe and restful, let it linger. When you are ready, notice that within this vision, a path is waiting. It does not rush you. It asks nothing but your presence. You can rest at its beginning, or take a first step when you feel the calling to do so. And now, if you feel softened, steady, and at peace, let us begin our journey into the hanging gardens of Babylon.
The breath you've taken carries you forward now, across time and desert, to the banks of the Euphrates. The air grows warmer, scented with clay earth and distant incense. As the dust of travel settles, you lift your gaze and see them rising above the city walls, tier upon tier of terraces, draped in green. This is Babylon, and before you stands the wonder whispered across centuries, the hanging gardens. The city hums faintly beyond the gates, merchants closing stalls, the river flowing steadily, the footsteps of workers fading into night. Yet, as you approach the gardens, the noise recedes, softened by the steady trickle of water descending from high above. Bronze chains creak faintly as hidden mechanisms lift water from the river, feeding the terraces. Each drop gleams under torchlight like a fragment of starlight, falling to nourish the earth. You step through a stone archway, the coolness of shadow embracing you. Inside, the world transforms. Palm trees arch overhead, their fronds brushing against vines heavy with blossoms. Lanterns are set in alcoves along the paths, their glow flickering across tiled walls painted with patterns of lions and stars. The air carries the perfume of myrrh and jasmine, sweet but never cloying, balanced by the freshness of flowing water. The path beneath your feet is lined with smooth stones, worn by centuries of travelers. Each terrace rises like a step toward the sky, layers of green and gold. You pause before a fountain carved in the shape of a lion, water spilling from its jaws into a clear basin. The sound mingles with the rustle of leaves, forming a lullaby of stone and living earth. Climbing higher, you find yourself surrounded by fig trees, cypress, and almond blossoms, their petals glowing pale in the moonlight. The walls are covered with creeping ivy, softening the edges of brick and mortar, blending human craft with the patience of nature. Above, the moon reflects in pools that gather the lifted waters, shimmering with silver ripples. Each step slows your heartbeat, eases your shoulders, draws you deeper into calm. It is as though the garden itself has been waiting for you. This place was not built merely for display, was built to remind the restless mind that even in the heart of a bustling empire, serenity can bloom. Now, at the center of the terrace, you stop. A great tree rises above you, its roots anchored in stone, its branches heavy with fruit. A bench of smooth marble rests beneath it. You sit, feeling the coolness of the stones steady you, the leaves above whispering softly. Breathe in the garden. Breathe out the day. The hanging gardens hold you now, as they once held kings, queens, and dreamers of ages past. The journey into Babylon has begun, and the night invites you to wander further. As the moon climbs higher, you rise from the marble bench and follow a narrow path that curves behind a wall of ivy. The sound of trickling water shifts, no longer fountains, but something quieter, more secretive. Soon you find a low archway set into the stone, half concealed by climbing vines. Beyond it, a shadowed passage waits. Stepping inside, the air cools instantly. The walls are lined with glazed tiles, their colors muted in the dim light. But you can still see patterns of stars, waves, and flowers etched into them. The passage bends like a serpent, and each turn reveals another hidden alcove, niches holding clay jars of water, baskets of herbs drying in the cool air, carved benches worn smooth by centuries of visitors. The sound of the gardens above softens, replaced by a steady hum. You realize it is the water lifting system, the hidden heart of the hanging gardens. Bronze chains rise and fall in slow rhythm, turning with wooden gears, drawing water upward from the Euphrates. The hum is not harsh, but deeply soothing, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. You pause before a small doorway, half open. Inside is a vaulted chamber lit by oil lamps set in shallow alcoves. The flames flicker gently, casting golden light across the walls. You step inside and find that the chamber opens into a pool's small, circular, perfectly still. Its surface mirrors the lamps like a scattering of stars. Around the pool, the stone is inlaid with lapis lazuli, gleaming faintly blue even in the dim light. You sit at the edge, your fingers brushing the cool stone. The silence here is immense, almost sacred, but not heavy. It is the kind of silence that draws thoughts out of the mind, leaving only breath and heartbeat. The pool reflects the lamps, but for a moment you see more shadows of palms, a glimpse of the moon, as if the sky itself has been invited into this chamber. Breathing deeply, you notice how your body softens in response. The journey into Babylon has carried you into the garden's hidden soul, where water and stone work together in perfect harmony. You close your eyes, and the faint hum of the bronze chains merges with the sound of your breath until they are one rhythm. When you open your eyes again, the path beyond the chamber waits, leading further into mystery. The gardens hold many layers, terraces, chambers, secrets, and you sense this night will reveal them one by one. The silence of the corridors steadies you, and the story beckons you deeper still. You emerge from the hidden corridors into the open air once more, climbing a stone stairway that winds upward through arches veiled with jasmine. The night has grown deeper, but instead of darkness, the hanging gardens are flooded with silver light. The moon hangs full above Babylon, its glow washing over every terrace and leaf, turning the world into a quiet dream of marble and green. At the top of the steps, a broad terrace unfolds. Palms sway softly in the breeze, their shadows stretching long across the flagstones. Olive trees stand in quiet ranks, their leaves shimmering like quicksilver in the moonlight. Between them, narrow canals carry water that glimmers like liquid glass, feeding fountains that spill in graceful arcs. Their sound is softer now than in daylight, like hushed voices in conversation. You walk slowly across the terrace, and the view opens before you. Far beyond the walls of the gardens, the city of Babylon sprawls across the plains, a mosaic of roofs and torchlight. The great Euphrates River glimmers in the distance, its curves glowing faintly under the stars. Above, constellations scatter across the sky. Orion, the Pleiades, the lion of summer. Here, standing high among the terraces, it feels as though you are suspended between two heavens, one of stars, one of green. At the terrace's center, a pavilion rises from marble columns, holding a roof painted with faded patterns of lilies and lotus flowers. You step inside and find low couches draped in woven linen, still carrying the faint scent of cedar and myrrh. You sit, and for a moment, the entire garden exhales with you, fountains bubbling, leaves whispering, night insects humming in soft harmony. From here, you can see the garden's layer upon layered terraces stacked like giant steps into the sky, each one a world of its own. Hanging vines fall like curtains from the levels above, glistening with dew. Pools mirror the moon. It is a kingdom of silence and abundance, where time seems to bend and soften. A breeze brushes your cheek, carrying with it the perfume of roses and wild herbs. You close your eyes and let it linger, feeling as if the air itself is cleansing you of the day's weight. Each inhale fills you with clarity. Each exhale returns you to stillness. Somewhere above, a nightbird sinks a single, rising note that echoes across the stone and water. It feels like a call, drawing you higher, toward the terraces still unseen. The garden is not finished with you. There are deeper wonders waiting, hidden among its shadows and silver light. The moonlit terraces cradle you in their quiet, and the path upward invites you to continue. From the moonlit pavilion, the path winds upward again. You ascend slowly, your hand brushing cool stone walls veiled in ivy. As you climb, the sound of water grows stronger, not a rushing fall, but something gentler, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Soon the terrace opens into a place unlike any you have yet seen. You kneel beside the nearest pool. The water is utterly still, yet alive with light. The moon appears at your fingertips, close enough to touch. When you trail your hand across, the stars scatter and reform, rearranging into unfamiliar constellations. For a moment, it feels as if the pools are reading you, shaping their reflections, not for the world, but for you alone. The air is cooler, scented with mint and lilies blooming along the edges. Their petals curl open in moonlight, releasing fragrance that mingles with the sound of water. You breathe deeply, and the simple act of inhaling feels like a gift. Each exhale grows lighter, as if the pools themselves are absorbing what you no longer need. A narrow aqueduct carries water from one pool to the next, its trickle a lullaby slipping easily into thought. As you listen, it joins the rhythm of your breathing, steady and slow. In this place, your body drifts weightless, as if you, too, might become a reflection in the water. You wander between pools, each one offering a vision. In one, the stars bend into the shape of wings. In another, they form an endless spiral. Each image feels less like chance and more like a reminder that the universe is vast, yet carries you within its design. At the farthest terrace, a wide pool stretches beyond the others. Its surface is so smooth it appears untouched by time. When you gaze into it, you see not only stars above, but the gardens themselves reflected in perfect detail. And there, at the deepest heart, a light glows brighter than all the rest, not a reflection, but something within. The glow trembles softly, like a secret waiting to be discovered. You feel certain the gardens are guiding you toward it, that every step has led you here. The light does not call with urgency, but with invitation, steady, patient, eternal. Beneath the hanging pools of starlight, the gardens reveal their heart. You are not just walking through stone and water, you are walking inside a dream, the ancient, world built to endure forever. From the terrace of starlit pools, the path narrows into a corridor carved directly into the stone. Lanterns of bronze hang from chains above, their flames hidden behind thin veils of silk. They sway with the faintest breeze, scattering patterns of light that ripple like water across the walls. The air grows cooler, carrying a faint note of incense myrrh, sandalwood, and something sweet you cannot name. Each breath feels older than memory, as if you are inhaling time itself. The silence is not empty, but layered, carrying the weight of countless nights when others, too, have walked here searching for quiet. The passage opens into a chamber vast enough to hold the sky. Its ceiling vanishes into shadow, but high above, gardens hang like inverted constellations. Vines tumble downward, heavy with blossoms that glow faintly blue, their light like stars caught in leaves. Water drips from their roots in silver threads, falling endlessly into pools that never overflow. The sound is steady, hypnotic like the ticking of a cosmic clock. You step deeper, and the ground responds. The polished stone mirrors each movement until it feels as though you are walking on reflections of yourself. For a moment, you sense you are not alone. The chamber holds echoes, figures moving with your pace, shadows cast not by flame, but by memory. Yet they are not threatening, they are companions, reminders that rest is a path walked by many. At the center of the chamber stands a column of alabaster, carved into spirals that twist upward until lost in the dark. On its surface shimmer faint etchings, stories of gardens tended, rivers lifted into air, nights softened by dream. When you touch the stone, warmth pulses beneath your fingers. It feels alive, as though the stone itself remembers every sleeper who ever found comfort here. Above, the vines shift. A petal loosens, glowing like a falling ember, and drifts downward. It lands in your palm, lighter than breath, yet it hums faintly, resonating with your heartbeat. The blossom does not fade. Instead, it steadies your breath, reminding you that even shadows can be gentle when touched by light. The chamber does not ask you to linger, but to listen. Its lesson is subtle. Peace is not the absence of shadow, but the harmony of shadow and light together. In the balance, there is rest. When you leave, the lanterns sway once more, their silk veils whispering against stone. Behind you, the blossoms glow as stars suspended upside down, eternal guardians of silence. Ahead, the path slopes upward, where the night air waits to open again into sky. The gardens have revealed their shadows, and you carry their calm forward. The stone corridor narrows, then opens suddenly into a terrace, so high it feels suspended between earth and stars. The night air greets you with a cool hush, carrying the faint perfume of jasmine and damp stone. Before you lies the final ascent, a staircase carved into the living rock, each step gleaming faintly as if brushed with moonlight. You climb slowly unhurried, your breath matching the rhythm of your steps. With each rise, the gardens seem to fall away beneath you, their terraces shrinking into shadows and silver streams. The higher you go, the quieter the world becomes, until even the sound of your own footsteps seems softened by the vastness. At last, you reach the summit. A circular platform stretches before you, ringed by columns that frame the sky like windows. Between them, no walls remain lay, the endless sweep of stars and the arc of the hanging gardens beneath. Vines trail upward as if trying to touch the heavens, their blossoms glowing faintly, mirroring constellations above. At the center of the platform stands a pool no larger than a circle of light. Its surface is utterly still, so perfectly reflective that when you lean close, you cannot tell where your face ends and the sky begins. Here, the garden has no need to speak. Its silence is the lesson. You kneel, allowing the stillness to expand inside you. Thoughts flicker, rise, then fade, leaving behind only breath. The pool does not ask for offering or ritual. It simply shows you yourself, quieted, complete. You realize this journey was never to reach higher ground, but to find the summit already waiting within. Above, the stars drift. The air grows softer, warmer, as though the universe itself has drawn a long exhale. A sense of deep peace wraps around you, steady and weightless, as if the night has taken every burden and set it gently aside. When you finally close your eyes, the world does not vanish, it settles. The terraces, the vines, the water, the stars, all remain alive in memory, woven into your breath. You know you could return here at any time, not by foot, but by stillness. The hanging gardens rest now within you, a place of refuge, ready to bloom each night you seek it. The summit fades slowly into dusk-colored memory, and you feel yourself carried downward not by steps, but by a quiet current of air, as though the gardens themselves are guiding you home. The vines and terraces drift past, softened by starlight, their blossoms folding closed for the night. Every stone, every leaf seems to whisper farewell, promising that their peace will wait for your return. The air grows warmer as you descend. The fragrance of jasmine lingers, mingling with the cool breath of fountains and the hush of hidden streams. The world is no longer asking for anything. It offers only stillness, a safe space where even your thoughts grow tired of moving and begin to rest. When you reach the base of the gardens, the hum of the city is gone. There is only the pulse of the earth and the steady rhythm of your breath. The hanging gardens have shown their secrets, but they ask for no memory, only the quiet gift of sleep. You find a simple stone bench beneath an arch of vines, its surface warm, welcoming. As you sit, the stars above feel closer, softer, as though they lean down to listen to the silence with you. You recline, closing your eyes, and the night folds around you like a silken curtain. Inhale gently. The day loosens. exhale slowly. The weight dissolves. Again, inhale, exhale. With each breath, the gardens blur until they exist not outside but within. Their rivers, their flowers, their terraces of light settle into your chest, into your breath, into the cradle of your mind. The gardens have become part of you, now a sanctuary you can return to whenever sleep feels far away. Above, the stars ripple faintly, as if echoing the lights of the terraces. For a moment, you sense that the heavens themselves are blooming with the same quiet abundance. You realize that the hanging gardens were never just stone and water and greenery. They were always a reflection of the inner calm waiting to be uncovered. The fountains murmur in the distance, their tones like lullabies sung across centuries. The scent of herbs and flowers grows faint, dissolving into a softer, dreamlike haze. Your body feels as though it has become part of the earth itself, steady, rooted, supported by something vast and timeless. You lie back fully now, the stone beneath you warmer than it should be, as if holding the day's last light just for you. The vines arch overhead, swaying with the faintest breeze, their movement like a hand brushing across your brow. And as your eyes drift heavier, the world narrows into the simple rhythm of breath and heartbeat. The hanging gardens are not lost. They live here, in you, blooming each time you surrender to rest. Tonight, you are safe. Tonight, you are whole. And tonight, the dream carries you deeper than memory into the endless calm of sleep.